Dude, I thought you guys were recording when we came on, man. You never know what's going to happen, dude. Always record. Hey, what's up, guys? It's DJ Barbecue. You got to tune to the Lockdown BBQ. What's it called again? Hey, guys, it's DJ Barbecue, and you are locked in to the Lockdown BBQ Show.
We're living in unprecedented times. Around the world, medical teams are doing an amazing job in tackling the coronavirus. In the UK, our brilliant NHS, thousands of key workers and volunteers are leading the battle against COVID-19. Many of us are following government advice and staying at home in lockdown. Before the pandemic hit, myself, Neal, aka Barbecue Explorers, and the Smokin Elk had talked about collaborating on a video project for YouTube. The virus put a stop to that idea. However, as barbecue mad people, we are determined not to be beaten, so we have used a bit of online tech to create a new video show for the barbecue community. Welcome to the Lockdown BBQ Show. Coming up in today's show, Elky shows us why cooking to temperature and not to time will change the way you cook. Neal is on the lookout for barbecue bargains. We meet the Evans family from Devon as they go on a quest for fresh fish for their barbecue. Our special guest is best-selling author Genevieve Taylor, and we take a look at what you've been cooking. Welcome to the Lockdown BBQ Show. Hello and welcome to the show. We hope you've had an amazing week. The weather in Kent this week has been absolutely fantastic. Elky, what's it been like on the south coast?
Absolutely blinding, to be honest. This was supposed to be our last week in Thailand if we were allowed to fly. So we've been making the most of the sunshine, drinking lots, eating lots, as you normally would do on holiday, I suppose. What about you? What have you been up to?
Sounds absolutely perfect, Elky. Well, we've cooked a lot on the barbecue. We had salmon one night, we had steak another night. But the best thing this week is I found a home for Cherney, the new smoker that I've got. And I found a little corner of the garden. And hopefully this week I'm going to make a film with Cherney. But on Instagram this week, I've seen you've had lots of comments and questions. What have the main sort of questions been?
One of the main questions I get asked is probably what barbecue to buy. As a beginner to barbecue, what barbecue should I buy? And the main thing I say is it all depends on your budget when there's so many options out there. I think you picked up a bit of a bargain tripod, didn't you, Neal?
Certainly did. Should we have a look at the film?
Yeah, let's do it.
The great thing about barbecuing is it doesn't have to be expensive when you're first setting out. There's always bargains to be found. There are some great barbecue Facebook groups like Country Wood Smoke, and its members are always posting information about special deals they find. I bought this tripod setup last year after reading a post, and I think it was less than £30. It's fun to work with. The fire bowl can be filled with lumpwood charcoal, briquettes or wood. The chain lets you adjust the height of the grill to suit the intensity of the heat and flames beneath. I used it last weekend to create a quick snack lunch for my family. I grilled a few sausages and added some wood chips to give them a hint of smokiness. They were pretty tasty. When you finish cooking, you can remove the tripod, add some wood to the fire bowl and stay warm as the sun starts to set and enjoy your evening. It doesn't get any better than that. Happy days. I'll be making more videos with the tripod barbecue throughout the summer. Now this week we invited the Evans family from Torquay to make a film for the show. Natalie Evans produced and filmed it. The two presenters are her husband Tufty and their daughter Lydia.
I love this film. It's called Foraged BBQ Feast. It's amazing. Let's take a look at it.
And we're going to get some fresh fish and go home for a barbecue.
Hi there, this is the pontoon in Brixham Harbour. Tristan's boat is called the Adela, and we're after some sea bass, some scallops if we're lucky, maybe some crab. We'll see what he's got, and the queue's not too long either.
This is my boat, the Adela BM79, and this is all the freshest fish in the bay. You cannot get it any fresher than this unless you go and catch it yourself. Right, so we got some pouts, some dabs, some rock salmon, some plaice, and some nice lemon soles. There used to be a lot more, but let's get down here earlier.
So we got our fish and now we're going to head back home to eat it.
South African buns, which are going to go straight on to the griddle. Whoop. And they've been proved, and they are going to cook so good, it's going to blow your mind. You know what I'm saying? Fantastic. There you go. Boom. So up here we've got some rock salmon that's been skewered, deboned. I mean, it's really easy. It's like coring an apple. So you just slice down the four sides and it's pure meat, no bones. It's fantastic. Rock salmon, very underrated. You have garlic butter, all from the garden. The garlic the butter's from a cow. And down here we've got some plaice, fresh from the guy today. Just slowly cooking here with a little more garlic butter.
What a great film. We're hoping that the Evans family will continue to make videos for us throughout the summer.
Be careful though, because we'll find ourselves out of the job. Now it's time for me to show you the importance of cooking to temperature and not to time. This week's bit of advice is an absolute game changer for me. It changed the way I looked at cooking, especially barbecue, and that is always cook to temperature and not to time by using one of these, Thermopen instant read thermometer. We've all been there. You're cooking a barbecue, you want to know if your food's cooked, you're not quite sure. You take a knife and fork, you slice into that steak to see whether it's rare, see whether it's cooked, see whether it's well done. And you slice in, all the juices come out, you end up with a dry, leathery piece of steak. It's no good. I always have one of these handy when I'm barbecuing. The last thing you want to do, not only from a food safety perspective, you don't want to serve your guests undercooked food, but you also, almost just as bad, you don't want to serve them overcooked food. You don't want to serve them dry, leathery steak. So use this, you get an instant reading. Find out what your temperatures are for your safe cooking, your safe temperatures. Use one of these and honestly, it guarantees pretty much perfect results every time. I've got some chicken breasts on the go that we're cooking indirect using the 2-zone method that I showed you last week. We're going to get towards the end of the cook and we're going to start probing with this, and I'm going to show you exactly what we mean by cooking to temperature, not to time, and show you the results. So the chicken is in over the indirect side. Just going to pop the lid down, and then after about 15-20 minutes we're going to start probing and checking for doneness with the Thermopen. So we're 20 minutes into the cook. We'll take the Thermopen, pop it in there. You can see we're at 47 degrees. We've got a little way to go yet, so we'll check back again in another 10 minutes. We're at 69, we're happy with that. We're going to take this off. It's going to carry over cooking till it's 73 degrees, so we're going to take these off and serve them up. So you've seen the numbers, we've seen that we've cooked this to temperature, not to time. I'm going to slice in and show you the results of cooking this way. You can already see the moisture in that chicken, that breast. It's perfectly cooked, juicy, moist, cooked to perfection. Because of the Thermopen, we've cooked to temperature, not to time, it's safe to eat, it's not overcooked, it's looking damn fine to me. So we're going to slice this up and dig in. I guarantee this will give you perfect results time and time and time again. So that's my tip for this week. I would not be without my trusty thermo pen because I cook to temperature, not to time. Now let's see what you lot have been cooking.
Some great cooks going on there, Elky. What do you like the look of?
It's a difficult choice, too many to choose from, but if I really have to pick one, I'm going to go with Terry Brown, just because of the method of cooking over the fire pit. Fantastic.
Well done, Terry. And now it's time for our special guest, best-selling author Genevieve Taylor. Genevieve, thank you so much for joining us on the Lockdown BBQ Show. How are you and how's your family coping with lockdown?
Yeah, we're all right. You know, every day sort of blends into another. In some ways, the days go quite quickly, I think. You're sort of shuffling along, not doing a great deal. But yeah, it's all right. We're very lucky. We've got, I've got a big garden and I've got my allotment, so places to go.
I've seen your allotment on your Instagram account, Genevieve Eats, which is an amazing account with over 20,000 followers. Growing vegetables is so important to you. Can you just tell us what you're growing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm growing all sorts of things. I had a bit of a disaster, actually, because we had a tiny bit of frost last night in Bristol and my squash have all sort of withered. I just went up there, and so I don't know if I've kind of cocked that up. But yeah, growing all sorts: squash, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, what else? All sorts: peas, beans, mange too. Loads. And I've got my chickens up there as well on the allotment.
Is that where they are? I see the chickens on your story and I wonder if they're in your garden or
they used to be in the garden. We had they've been in the garden for kind of 8-9 years. Not all the same chickens because they've sort of died, all the foxes got them, but we moved them to the allotment a couple of months ago and they've got so much more space there. They got a really big run and yeah, so it's nice.
Genevieve, for people who are thinking about growing vegetables for the first time, what sort of top tips and advice would you give them?
I think just get stuck in is my best advice. I mean, I'm no expert gardener. I just sort of experiment with stuff and chuck stuff in, and some things work, some things don't work. And then, but actually some things work some years and then you do the same the next year and it doesn't work the next year. I don't know if there's any logic to it. So, but luckily with the allotment, I've got so much space that I can plant masses and masses of stuff. And I think that's why I'm quite successful, because the slugs can't eat all of it. So there's always something. And then if I've got more than I need, I give it to friends, or, the chickens have stuff.
I suppose it's all very weather dependent as well as what grows each year. And I mean, we had a fantastic summer a couple of years ago, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was just hot for so long. I'd imagine. I mean, we grew some tomatoes and we had we didn't look after them very well, I don't think, but we had an absolutely huge crop of tomatoes. And I just guess it depends on the weather a lot of the time.
Yeah, sure. And that's out of your control, isn't it? So just get stuck in and give it a go, I think. We've
got lots of runner bean plants, which we put in a couple of weekends ago. And we had some terrible winds 2 nights ago, real hurricanes, and I bet most of them are dead.
Yeah, I know. Cold winds, that's the problem.
I'm definitely not known for cooking and eating a lot of vegetables, and I blame my parents for that, for force-feeding me when I was younger. But I've got a copy of your book, Chard, and I have cooked a few dishes from it as side dishes, and obviously from my wife that does eat a lot of vegetables. What gave you the idea for Chard? How did it come about?
I think it's because I eat meat. I really like eating meat, but I also really like eating vegetables. And obviously, because I grow quite a lot of vegetables, I've often got a glut of stuff. And it just struck me that barbecue's kind of like the last bastion of the carnivore, isn't it? That's what it feels like, you know. And actually, if you think barbecue is obviously a very celebratory meal that you would share with your friends and your family, and you know, people make parties of it, don't they? And any other meal that you would do that with friends and family, like Sunday roast, for example, you'd have one kind of centerpiece joint, and then you'd have a lot of lovely side dishes that you thought about, and it would all come together as a sort of balanced kind of meal. But it struck me that actually barbecue's pretty much the only meal where you might be expected to eat a sausage, a bit of steak, a chicken wing, you know, all in the same meal. And I don't want to eat like that. It's not kind of how I want to sort of eat. So for me, it was about making the whole thing a bit more omnivorous and a bit more balanced.
It is a fantastic book. I've got a couple of the other books as well. The Wood-Fired Oven Cookbook.
Yeah.
How to eat outside as well.
That one, that's good. That kind of, I'm really proud of that book, and I loved writing it, but it didn't sell very well. I think it kind of came a few years before its time, really.
Barbecue is obviously seen as a lot of meat, and you're bringing vegetables into the equation. It's also somewhat historically been viewed as a bit of a man's domain. We know this isn't true, you know, and there's people like yourselves and others that are flying the flag, you know, and producing absolutely fantastic stuff. What advice can you offer to women that, you know, to get out there, get over the fire, get with the tongs, and you know, push the man to one side and take over?
I think you just have to kind of get stuck in, don't you? But I think actually maybe it's more for the men to step aside and sort of let women do it. And I think women make brilliant barbecuers, because we're just, I don't want to sort of be mean about men, because, you know, but women are really good at multitasking, and you need that with fire. You know, if you've got different dishes on the go at the same time, and it's not like you can sort of dial the knob up and down like you would on your hob or something. You have to be really good at kind of managing different things at the same time. So actually, I think women make brilliant barbecuers, and I think they need maybe a bit more confidence that they can do it, or that they're kind of allowed to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm a nightmare for the multitasking. I mean, I'm all happy with the bravado part, and I'm there with my beer and the lads around. But when it gets towards the end, if I'm doing a big cook for plenty of people, let's say I've got 15, 20 friends round, and it starts getting towards the serving up business, and everything needs to come together at the same time, nobody can talk to me. Nobody can talk to me. My wife's there cleaning up behind me, and you know, do you want any help? And I'm just stressing out, and you know, so I definitely think
it's the opposite in my house, because my husband's, he's kind of quite clean and tidy, and I'm not at all. I'm the world's messiest cook. So he's kind of coming behind me, kind of wiping things down and taking away my boards, and I'm like, stop it, I haven't finished yet. Don't tie up behind me. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get all the glory from my friends when we do a barbecue, but it's my wife that puts in the hardest shift.
Often, I don't want to sound like it's a stereotype, but often when women are cooking, it's about getting something on the table without too much fuss and fandango. It's just like, right, this is what we're making, get it on the table. But I think barbecuing, you know, when you get a kind of big group of men involved, it can be quite a lot of bravado and sort of posturing, and
Genevieve, before the lockdown, you created the Bristol Fire School. Can you tell us a bit about that, and also your plans for the future?
Yeah, sure. So I sort of set up Fire School. I started setting it up in the end of January, thinking it would be great, and then I did precisely one lesson and had to sort of shut the whole thing down, which is really frustrating.
Such a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's there, and the appetite for people learning about cooking on fire is really there. So it's, you know, it's not going to go away. But I kind of did it really because it struck me, you know, I go to lots of festivals all over the place all summer. Not this year, unfortunately, but the barrier to people being confident about fire cooking is the fire itself. You know, once you've mastered the fire and you feel confident about you know, how to control the temperature and how to sort of create zones for cooking. It's just cooking, you know, it's just cooking like you would do on your hob or in your oven. There's no other kind of magic or mystery about it. It's just feeling confident with the fire. So Bristol Fire School is all about giving people those fundamental skills, really, to kind of feel like they're in control of the fire, that it's not like a kind of barbecue and the fire's in charge and it's all out of control and you're burning stuff. And it's just giving people those kind of base skills, really. And it always amazes me that, you know, even fundamental things that we as barbecuers would know, like setting up your barbecue kind of half and half, so you've got wriggle room and all that. People just don't know that. They just don't have any idea about it. They're like, really? I never thought of that.
But I think that's one of the first kind of eureka moments that people get, isn't it? When you show them to set it up with two zones or 3 zones and cook with your lid down, it's kind of like, wow, there's so many more possibilities now.
Exactly, yeah, cooking with your lid down. I always say when I'm sort of doing these demos at festivals that you wouldn't light your oven in your kitchen and then cook with the door open. I mean, why would you do that? And it's the same with barbecue. You know, if you can shut a lid or create a lid with a dome or a cloche, or, you know, you're increasing your efficiency of the fuel.
What are your favourite woods to work with?
I like, I always work with a mixture of kind of lumpwood, charcoal, and then different woods. I like oak and I like alder as a kind of base wood, because they're both fairly, I mean, oak's a bit richer than alder, but they're fairly sort of neutral smokes. And then you can add extra kind of smoke with, you know, different sort of blocks and stuff. But as a general rule, I would use lumpwood, and then add a little bit of wood for smoke.
Yeah, one of my favourite woods to use is cherry and apple. But cherry has to be one of my favourites. It's great on chicken, it's great on pork, it's great on beef, and it just gives a fantastic colour to the food as well, I find.
Yeah. Cherry wood's beautiful. It's definitely one of my favourites as well. I love it.
Genevieve, thank you for being such an amazing guest on the Lockdown BBQ Show.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Genevieve. You've been fantastic.
A big thank you to Genevieve. Elky, have you got any plans to have an allotment?
No plans yet. I think we're happy with our herb patch for now. Now, Genevieve's book, Charred, is actually a #1 top seller on Amazon for outdoor books, outdoor cookbooks and barbecue books. Hot on the Heels in #2 is Fire Food, which leads us nicely on to next week's guest, none other than DJ Barbecue.
And that's going to be absolutely amazing next week. Now, thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Keep those fires burning.